Hello everybody, I am back reporting to you from Polly Prep's fabulous dressing room and costume shop. My name is Jill Bolstridge and I am here to give you audition tips and techniques. These are mostly geared toward young or beginning actors, but I do think that the advice is helpful for anybody. If you like the tips and techniques, there's plenty of other videos here on my channel, so check those out. You know what to do. So today we're going to be talking about movement on stage. Movement is super important and you need to give yourself movement when you are doing an audition monologue. You do not want to just stand in one place. There are two types of movement that actors do on stage: blocking and business. If you don't know what the difference is between blocking and business, blocking is anytime you are traveling across the stage and actually moving across the floor. Business is movement that you do in place. So blocking means that you are walking from stage right to stage left, for example. Something that you would do in place, such as maybe shuffling a deck of cards or taking a sip of tea, that's called business. Now, when you prepare an audition monologue, it's really important that you give yourself blocking and business, because those two things are going to help build the character. Standing in place and just reciting it is it's just not full, it's not rich. You want to make sure that the character has a physicality so that you can show how you embody that character. If you're standing still, it's a lot more difficult to show that. So the first thing is get all your fidgets out. Something I make my very young actors do is this little saying. It goes like this: the key to perfect poise: no hula hips, no giggle lips, no wandering eye disease, no wandering foot disease, no orangutan arms, and never, ever make your audience seasick. Blech. And just to take you through that very quickly, hula hips means that you're constantly shifting your weight. It's a nervous habit and it's very distracting for the audience to watch. Giggle lips, of course, is breaking character. Do not break character. Of course, if you do break character, just keep going. Don't stop and start over, but try your best. Don't break character. You're too old for that at this point, 7th and 8th graders. Wandering eye disease means that you just don't know where to look and you're looking all over the place. I know sometimes, especially in an audition, it can be very difficult to determine where to look, but we are going to talk about that today. In general, when you're on stage, there are 3 places that you should be looking. One is making eye contact with another character to whom you are speaking or who is speaking to you. 2 is watching and reacting to some sort of action that's taking place on the stage. So if 2 actors are right here having a sword fight, I should be watching and reacting to that sword fight. Or maybe I'm going, yeah, depending on who the character is, but you're watching and you're reacting. 3 is looking up and out. This, of course, often takes place in musicals when you are looking out toward the audience, but you don't want to look directly into people's eyes. You want to look up and out because the lights are coming down at you like this. So if you're looking slightly up, I don't mean up, I mean up and out like this, so you can and then the lights will hit you and you'll look beautiful and it'll all be wonderful. So those are the 3 places you should look. Next is wandering foot disease. Of course, this is people who do this awkward shuffle. It's a very nervous habit. It's very distracting and it really takes away from the physicality of the character. Orangutan arms, of course, is this awful habit. As you can see, I actually just hit this thing. So not only is it distracting, but it can potentially be dangerous. You could hit something or you could hit someone. So don't swing your arms like that. And finally, never make your audience seasick. That's when people sway back and forth like this. And as you can see, it is very distracting and it gets almost nauseating to watch after a while. So now that you know what not to do, let's talk about what to do. Should you do? What type of movement should you do when you are creating an audition monologue? Well, the same type of movement that you would do if you were on stage in a real play, and that is movement with purpose. I want you guys to really solidify that word in your mind. If you don't take anything else from this tips and techniques video, take the word purpose. Purpose, purpose, purpose. Cement that word into your mind. Everything you do has a purpose. If there's no purpose, don't do that thing. So if you're going to walk across the stage, do it because there's a reason for you to go there. Do not walk around aimlessly. If you're just pacing, it does not add to the character. It takes away. And remember, there's no such thing as just being on stage. If you are not contributing something to your performance, you are taking something away. So pacing back and forth is a very bad habit. So you want to make sure that every single movement that you make has a purpose. So I'm going to give you an example from one of the audition sides from Christmas Carol. So let's say that I am playing the role of Scrooge, and he says, a churchyard, a gravestone. Spirit, before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they the shadows of the things that may be only? And so then he eventually has to, so in this, it tells you he has to make a decision to move. So it's very specific that it says Scrooge approaches the gravestone, and it's later on. So you have to make sure that you are showing lots of hesitation, because he doesn't want to go there. There's a great deal of fear. There's a great deal of avoidance. If remember, we talked about giving verbs to your intentions. He really wants to avoid this situation. So he is desperate to do anything he can to not make this happen. So, a churchyard, a gravestone. Spirit, before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. So for this first part, I'm not going to give myself blocking. I'm going to give myself a little bit of business, and I'm going to think about the people to whom I'm talking. Well, I'm talking to one person, and it's a spirit, but I'm also seeing something. So I'm going to put those two things in a place. And this goes back to the thing I said about where to look. Remember I said we were going to talk about that? A lot of times people stare directly into the eyes of the auditioner. That's really awkward and uncomfortable for the person who is behind the table. So try really hard not to do that. Try to envision the character to whom you're speaking and put that person somewhere, and imagine you're making eye contact with that person, as opposed to just, staring at the auditioners, because they don't like that. And it makes them hard to evaluate you if they feel like you don't want to make them part of the scene. They should be observing you, not performing with you, okay? So for this example, I'm going to decide that the spirit is right here to my left, and I'm going to decide that the gravestone, the churchyard, is right over there. So every time I refer to that churchyard and that gravestone, I'm going to look at that churchyard and gravestone. They're right there. And every time I talk to the spirit, I'm going to imagine that spirit is right here, and I'm going to talk to him or her. Keep in mind, folks, you have the ability to put things wherever you want, so make sure that you put them out there so that you can cheat out. It would be a really bad idea to put the spirit behind me so that I would have to turn my back every time I wanted to speak to him, okay? So let me just check and make sure I have the line correct. A churchyard, a gravestone, spirit, before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Okay, so in this situation, maybe I'm going to take a couple of steps closer to see what it is. So maybe I will give myself a little bit of blocking, and I'm going to decide to look, take a couple steps, and then retreat, okay? That's just a choice I'm making, so this is what it might look like if I did that. A churchyard? A gravestone? Oh, Spirit, before I walk toward that gravestone to which you point, please answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be only? And I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to do that much. So did you see what I did? I said, I'm going to take you through it in slow motion. I said a churchyard. I really looked at it to see what it is the spirit wants me to see. I took a couple of steps closer just to maybe get a better look. And then I said, I discovered it. I had a moment of discovery. A gravestone. And now I'm scared. So now I'm going to walk backwards. Oh, Spirit, please answer me one question. Now I'm turning and I'm looking to the spirit, right? So that's a really good example of some simple movement that can really inform the piece. So if I do it like that, a churchyard, a gravestone. Oh, Spirit, answer me one question. Don't you think that looks a lot better than this? A churchyard, a gravestone. Oh, Spirit, answer me one question. Which is what I get a lot of times at auditions, which is just the standing and the reciting. Don't you see how giving yourself movement really, really helps to inform the piece? And if you break down each and every sentence and you give yourself purposeful movement, you're going to have an amazing, amazing performance. And that goes for any audition, not just this one. I hope that this is helpful. Don't forget the vocal differentiation techniques that we talked about in the last video, and have a great time creating your audition pieces. Remember, auditioning is just another opportunity to perform, so you should enjoy yourself. Have a great time, and I'll see you on the next video.